Hi, we're the British Wedding Film Festival, and we put this thing together to celebrate and elevate the wedding filmmaking industry.
Submit your wedding film to one or more of our many different categories, each one celebrating all the different aspects of wedding filmmaking. Just choose the category that you feel best represents your work. There's no limit on how many films you can enter or categories, and the entries close on the 1st of December.
Your films will be evaluated by a panel of industry experts, including filmmakers, producers, and other professionals. The panel is diverse with individuals from varied cultural, geographic and creative philosophies.
On the 9th of February 2026, we'll gather at the Manchester Art Gallery to celebrate the best in wedding filmmaking. An evening of stories, creativity and community. And we'll screen the best films, announce this year's winners live on stage.
Entries close on the 1st of December and tickets for the event are available now. Go to britishweddingfilmfestival.com.
Today on the Coda Podcast, I'm joined by K.Smith of K.Smith Films, a filmmaker who blends pure creativity with a serious technical craft. While Kurtis creates high-energy short-form content that lights up his social feeds, his true masterpieces are his long-form wedding films. These are immersive, emotionally rich stories built with intention, shaped by his background as a musician and his ability to craft intricate sound scores that give his work a signature depth and rhythm. In this episode, we break down how Kurtis approaches both ends of the spectrum, from punchy, viral-ready short form to the expansive long-form edits he's become known for. And we even dive into how he managed to pull off a same-day edit at a wedding, the planning, the pressure, and the creative chaos behind it. Let's dive in. Good evening, Kurt. Welcome to the Coda Podcast.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me on.
So I think this is actually, we're coming up to a year since I kind of really went down a rabbit hole with your work, because I really took a dive into it when you entered Tweer last year.
God, that's flown by, hasn't it?
Hasn't it? It really has. So what really drew me to your work was how you the way you piece together your edits, because I think you submitted quite long form videos to Tweer, which is something I always kind of recommend against. I'm like, put your short,
I know,
fast ones in.
In hindsight, maybe that wasn't a great idea, because I know you judges have a lot to get through, but that is mainly what I do. It's longer form edits, really.
Yeah, but that's what I liked though, because I was captivated by his edits. And again, when I was refreshing, like in research for this podcast, like going down again a rabbit hole on your newer work, there's quite a few longer form videos on your website, but they always captivate me because it feels like you don't have a particular structure, and you really your films evolve based on that wedding day itself, which is something that we all claim to do, right? But I feel like you're achieving that much better than most of us, and it'd be interesting to go into that. Sure. But this is Coda. As always, we've got our questions that I like to ask first. So I'm going to hit you. And I know you listen to this podcast quite often, so
I do.
You know what's coming, right?
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Cheers, man. Right. So first of all, how many weddings do you shoot each year on average?
So the last couple of years, it's been around 30. However, going into next year and beyond, I want to bring that down a little bit. Somewhere between 20 and 25, I think, would be a better number for me. These last couple of years, I have struggled a little bit to keep on top of the edits. Maybe it's because you kind of like alluded to, like, I don't follow like a real strict template with my edits, so I can't really churn them out quick.
So what are you going to put in place to be able to go down to those numbers? Is it a case of putting your prices up so you get the same amount of income, or is it literally just taking a hit and taking less bookings?
No, it's the last couple of years that has coincided with me raising my prices, basically. So next year, 25, I'll be kind of coming close to the VAT limit at that number. So it makes sense to be dropping them down, really.
How much do you charge then? What are your packages and what are you charging?
So I start at 3,000 and it kind of goes up from there. I offer two film lengths. I should have brought this up really, so I can kind of, there's two film lengths, highlight film package, feature film package. The highlight film package is 3,000, and in that you get ceremony speeches, and a 7 to 9 minute film, which is odd numbers, which I don't really like, but it is usually because it's around 8 minutes. And then the feature film package, again, ceremony, speeches, that's 3,500, and that is 10 to 15 minutes in length. And you also get a teaser with that, like a 1-2 minute teaser.
And what your teasers, are they delivered ahead of everything else, or are they delivered at the same time?
They are, yeah. Which is actually another reason why I've struggled to keep on top of edits, because I find that what I found is everybody's been booking in these teasers. Because so just going back, it also is an add-on. So if you get the smaller package, you can add it on separately. I think it's 300.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are doing that, and basically what I found is that I'm doing teasers constantly, and I can't get into the bulk of my edits, like the main films,
because you've got to get them out the door. So you just constantly do. So
I say within 1 to 2 weeks after the date, you'll have it. So yeah, I'm doing it beforehand, because I know some people do it the other way around, don't they? They'll do the edit and then they'll kind of chop that up into a smaller
that's what I do,
form, which probably would make more sense, to be fair.
But also, I think the teaser, like the fact it's called a teaser, it's supposed to come first.
Well,
and it makes sense. That's the kind of thing that's going to be put on the socials, and it's the marketing for you, isn't it? And
very much so. Yeah, it's more and more recently. It's a big part of the marketing. And whereas before I would make a teaser and sort of put it together in widescreen horizontal format, I'm almost editing them now, knowing that they're going to be shared and viewed on Instagram and social media. So I'm kind of editing them in a square format and delivering them that way.
So yeah, you go for square rather than like portrait them.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been to and froing for the last couple of years with different aspect ratios, as I know a lot of us have, because I hate vertical. But then I am one of these people that if I'm scrolling and someone's turned it sideways, I am one of them people that are like, I am not turning my phone. That's way too much effort.
Me too, man.
Which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I can't bring myself to go the full, portrait vertical. It just, the way I shoot just doesn't suit it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a compromise. I kind of go between square or 4:3.
Yeah. I think 4:3 is a great shout, really. That's what I'm going to start trying doing, because I'm similar to you. The way I compose my shots quite intentionally is for that landscape frame, and I'm losing something if I'm cropping it into portrait. So by going square, it's like the perfect middle ground, isn't it, to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think so.
It's quite interesting, actually, because there's not a vast difference between your film lengths, really, is there? It's almost like the highlight and the feature, they kind of almost feel like they're in the same ballpark. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I change around my packages quite often. I haven't changed them for this season, to be fair, but before this season started, I've been struggling to find a length that I'm happy with, at a price that I'm happy with, packaged in a way that is appealing to the couple. So I've kind of I've tried doing like shorter ones, like 3 to 5 minutes, and to be fair, I've never gone beyond 15 minutes. I feel like at that point it's too long. But yeah, I've kind of tried it all, really, but that's where I'm at the moment. But there isn't a lot of difference, and I've found that when I'm editing, I actually prefer doing the 7 to 8 minute sort of duration. I think that's, for me and the way I shoot, I think that's like a perfect length of having enough of the day in, keeping it exciting, it flows.
But I like that you're only delivering, really, either your packages, you're only really delivering one film, aren't you? Then a teaser max kind of thing. So, because I find like my longer films, sometimes I do a longer film, then I have to do my highlight film, and I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to make this different. I'm just making a shorter version of the exact same film.
I've never really understood why, because I know a lot of videographers do that, and I've never really got my head around the reasons why. I know the reasons why, but I think I always feel like the shorter highlights that you all do work great as, on the website or being shared and things like that. But I always feel like as a couple, if you're ever going to sit down and watch your wedding film, you're always going to want to watch the film. Yeah. So that's why I think, if I offer that longer film that has more of the day in, but not to the point where it's just dragging, I don't put everything in it. And then giving a teaser as well, it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And to have something that's also in the middle of that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think almost my package is almost a hangover from how wedding videography used to be. So you'd have your longer film, which is what the couple really want, let's be honest. They want just the longer one. And then the highlight film was for our marketing and for our websites and how we're going to get future couples. But that's not how we get couples now. We're finding them through socials, and they want the shorter the better, just to capture their attention. So it's
exactly, because I think when I first started and all I was doing with the longer films, I feel like I struggled a little bit with my website, because I knew that couples would find me, and then they wouldn't necessarily be prepared to sit down and watch, a 12, 13, 14-minute film. And so I found myself almost making short videos purely for the website. But now I think it's kind of gone the other way, where you're attracting those couples through social media, through these 1 minute, 2 minute max teasers, and then if they're kind of invested, then they'll sit down and watch some of your longer stuff.
Yeah. And you've got a brilliant mix of that, haven't you? You got some really nice catchy like teasers that you've got on your socials, and then But then that's what tricked me on your website when I go through your work, because it's interspersed with these like short, fast, high-paced trailers, and then your longer ones are in there as well. So before I knew it, I was like 8 minutes deep on this film. I didn't realise. I was like, bloody hell, he's reeled me in here.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, it must be doing something right then. Because I do worry sometimes that, the couple are always going to love it, aren't they? Let's be honest. Yeah. But I do worry sometimes that for someone who's not the couple watching it, like, does it maybe drag or does it flow? But so that's
they flow, man. And let's get into that, because I think a lot of it obviously with all of us, it starts with the shooting on the day itself. Mm-hmm. And you've got a wonderful way of shooting. This is my analysis of it, right? So there's you do quite a lot of wide, quite a lot of wide shots, a lot of movement, but you mix it up as well. So you got these nice moving wide shots, but then you are cutting it into some quite nice tight as well. But there's always forever seems to be a bit of movement going on, and you change the pace throughout the day. But I'm not just thinking a slow build up like to a crescendo, which seems to be the strategy for most of us in these longer films. I feel like you have pace faster bits at the start, kind of in the middle, and the whole day seems to flow. But that's different every single film that you've done as well. And I feel like you're taking your cues from the day itself into how you're going to put that edit together. Does that seem like a fair analysis of how you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we all follow a template to a certain extent, don't we? Because weddings are, they're all very similar. But yeah, I do try to follow the flow of the day and sort of tell that story back through the film. Because you do have those obvious high points in the day, because you've got this sort of slower morning prep that builds into the ceremony, and then it comes down again, and then you're building to the end of the day. So you have that sort of natural flow. But if there are things that are happening throughout the day, I kind of try to match that. Things like singing waiters. I feel like I've done so many of them recently.
Oh, really? I thought they'd gone. I thought it ended.
Well, back with a vengeance for me. But they always work great in a film, because then I'm matching that in intensity. I do like to have. I know, obviously, when you invited me on this, I knew that you was going to go through my website and look at some of my stuff. I do feel like it is a little bit dated now, because I have brought out a few more films that I've yet to upload on there. But I like to. I'm a big fan of like a cold open. If there was something from the day, whether it's maybe something on the first dance, or something that someone said, or just something. I've been doing that a lot more recently. I like to have a bit of an intro that kind of sets the scene, and then dip into the day from the beginning. But from there on, it's kind of chronological, really.
But I think that's how you've been like luring me in on your longer edits. Because like I said, if I look at a film and I see how long it is, like minutes, no chance. But those cold opens have been like dragging me in, because although you're saying it's like the work on your website that I've seen is a bit of your older stuff. You've got some of that on there, haven't you? Where it's like kind of like quirky little starts and
it's something I've been doing a while, to be fair. I think a lot of good TV shows, films, documentaries, they all kind of have. They don't all have it, but it's quite popular to have that sort of cold open or something that kind of lures you in and sets the scene.
Yeah.
So I do try to follow that format a little bit.
I think it's the world we live in now as well, because there's so much for people to consume. We have to get hooked in the first couple of seconds, don't we? So no matter what it is, whatever content we're putting out there, it needs to have that kind of structure to it, which is kind of, but it's just cool as well.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, we all seem to have very short attention spans these days.
Yeah, but gear then. Let's do the gear chat. So what cameras are you shooting on?
Sony A7S3s. I've got
really
2 of those. I have an array of lenses, and I love. So I've got a 55 1.8. It's the Zeiss one, which is a beautiful lens, but I don't use it as much as I'd like to. I end up just using a 24-70 2.8.
Yeah, is that the Sony one?
It is, yeah, the G Master. All my lenses are Sony lenses. So I've got 24-70, the 55 Zeiss. I've got a 28mm that goes on my gimbal, which I don't use very often, but I do have a gimbal. And then I've got an 85. But yeah, most of the day is spent on the 24-70, to be honest. I have great intentions of like, right, today I'm going to shoot more on my 55, 85, and then it's just so easy just to do that on the lens and just capture it.
But I think if you went to primes, I think you'd kind of lose the kind of essence of what your films are, because I really like how you get these immersive wide shots, because when you're getting a wide shot, it feels very considered, like you've got yourself in the perfect spot, because the wide shots can look awful, can't they? If you just stood back and you just cranking out to 28 or whatever, 24, you need to be in, don't you, so you can feel the frame. And I feel like you're always doing that, so it always feels intentional. It's not just that you're expanding it to the widest you've got it at.
Yeah, and I suppose you make a point there that if I was on a fixed focal length, like a 35 or something, I wouldn't maybe necessarily have that finesse to really hone in exactly where I want the frame to sit, because I do find myself doing that. I'll put myself in a position to capture the frame, and then I'm almost hunting on the zoom, like where I feel it is the right place for it to sit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How is that in the edit? Is it really irritating when you're constantly like tweaking it?
Sometimes. I mean, when I first started out, I felt like I was like in and out zooming all the time. And there'd be so often where I'd just be like, this is a nice shot, and then it'd go whoop, and I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, why? Just leave it, it's fine. But I have kind of like got out of that a bit now.
Oh, good. That does happen then, because I've recently converted to shooting on the zoom. I've got the 28-70 f2. And
I've been eyeing that up.
But mate, I find I keep doing that. Like I call it like wanking it off, basically wanking off the zoom. Like when I got like a nice shot, and then suddenly there it zooms in, zooms out, and I go, what the hell am I doing? But I haven't got that far in my edit queue to get onto those films. Like I've done a teaser for one, and it was interesting to tell it. So God knows what it's going to like when I finally get there. But I found if I stick it at 70, and I've worked out how to put to the kind of feel to get to 50 from 70.
Okay.
So and I feel like 70, 50, and then 28, I end up using them almost like primes, but on a zoom lens then. Like so I'm trying to be a bit more disciplined.
Yeah, I guess so. And a lot of people are using that lens now. It does look really nice, because that's the only downside with the 2.8. Like you just a couple of extra stops of light would be nice.
Yeah.
In terms of the depth of field and stuff, I don't know if there's a huge difference. I mean, I'm sure people will probably think differently, but I can't say I've noticed too much.
No, I not at all. Yeah, because when I do photo these days, I've been using the 24-70, the same lens as you, and like I can't tell. You can't tell that difference at all. And now, especially now I'm using the zoom for video, the image quality is just as good as the primes. Because that used to be the thing, didn't it? That's why people preferred primes, because like the image quality was so much better. But no, it's now the lenses, the glass is so good that you just can't tell the difference.
Really good. They are really good.
Yeah. So you only using 2 camera bodies then?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So because I like this, because I like the idea of 2, but then I just know I always need that third one, because the second photographers are always in the way. So what is your setup for the ceremony with 2 cameras?
So one is at the front with me, obviously, and I'll usually have that on a monopod, and then I will have one at the rear. So, and where that is placed, it's usually I'm prioritizing the groom's reaction,
Yeah.
or bride's reaction if it's bride. But I'm prioritizing that reaction. So wherever I can as close to the center as possible to get that reaction, but without making it really obvious that there's a tripod just at the end of the aisle.
Yeah.
And that's it really. And there's no sort of set focal length with that either. It depends on the size of the venue, the size of the aisle. So usually I'm putting the 55 on that, but sometimes it's the 85. And then I'm at the front with the 2470. And during the ceremony, I'm kind of, obviously I capture the processional coming down from the middle, and then I'll go off to one of the sides, and I try to focus on whoever's talking really. So if it's, the one person's vows or the other person's vows, I'll kind of like switch each side, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you just try and move around and kind of, capture that.
Yeah, as discreetly as possible, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty of chances to get over there, isn't there? Because I mean, I do the same, but I have a second camera, but I just go around and like move it and tweak it in. But like, there's always chance to move over.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've often considered getting a third camera, and then what I would do is I would have one at the back, and then I would have one off to one of the sides at the front. But I feel like, unless it was really wide, you're not necessarily like there's chance for someone to move or block it, or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. I feel like two is fine, isn't it? Like 3 is really, really helpful sometimes, but quite often, even in my edits, I'm only using the 2 angles. So it's like, is it worth the stress of having to lay down another camera, another tripod to pack up and pack down, and like
that's it. Yeah, I try to keep it as minimalist as possible, my equipment, and having an extra camera and tripod to set up and be involved. Yeah, it's probably not worth it for me. Yeah, it's faff, mate.
I'm surprised that you said that you don't use the gimbal much, because from looking at your work, I would have thought you're using it loads. Like, so are you doing movement? Are you handheld moving as well then to kind of?
I am. Yeah, I think it was Tom from Hitch Production said that he was convinced that I was using a gimbal, and the only times I use a gimbal are the confetti and the first dance, because I like to
so not even room details, because I see you doing like room reveals and stuff that feel like gimbal.
There will be some films on my website that are gimbal, and then there are some that are not, just because I've not been bothered to set it up at the time. I find myself using it less and less. I used to use it quite a lot, like most of the day, and as the stabilization's got better and things, I just don't need it. And the gimbal that I had when I first started out, it wasn't good enough to hold my 2470, so it wouldn't take the weight of that, so I just ended up being handheld most of the time anyway. So yeah, I think the stabilization is good enough now where you can, as long as you're sort of careful with it and calm, you can make it look like a gimbal.
So what are you doing then to be able to get smooth camera movements without a gimbal? What kind of stabilization mode you have selected, and is there like a particular technique?
Slow and steady would be the technique. I mean, I'll sometimes use the active stabilization, but then I have found with that sometimes it can kind of jump around a little bit. Does that make sense? It fights
it, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what sometimes I've noticed. Because I use that as standard, like the active, but like if I try to do movement with it, it jumps because it tries to lock on what was there, and then
the only time I really use the active is for like if I'm getting like candids or something. But if I'm getting a bit of movement, like say if it's like room details or something like that, I found that sometimes just having it on the standard setting can be actually better, because it's not kind of trying to battle the fact that you are adding in some movement. And other than that, it's just kind of being slow and sort of steady with it. Sometimes I will film in like a higher frame rate, so like 100 FPS, for example. So then I have the ability to kind of slow that down, and that then would make it smoother as well.
Yeah. And are you shooting quite wide when you're doing those like intentional handheld movement shots, or is it a mixture?
It's usually wide shots that I'm having movement. I think if you're quite tight with the framing, I think movement can be a bit jarring sometimes. So yeah, a lot. If I am adding in some movement somewhere, it would mostly be a wide shot, I think. Yeah,
what, 24 kind of thing?
Yeah, somewhere around there, 24, 35.
Yeah, I mean, I've ended up buying a gimbal this year, and when I have used it, I have really liked it. But the absolute faff and the headspace it takes up having to get it set up. Which one have you got?
I've got, because I left my old one outside the church a few months ago, and
Did you not get it back? It got nicked.
No, I got nicked. By the time I'd realised and gone back to the church, it was gone. So I've got the RS3 Mini, I think it is now, the DJI one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. They are a bit of a faff, unless you're deciding to use it for most of the day and you've got it there ready to go. I do find them a bit of a faff, and I think that's why I only tend to use it on the confetti and the first dance, because I've got time before those two moments to kind of set it up and get it prepared, while they're sort of putting the confetti line down and getting ready for the first dance. Those are two moments where I can like just think, okay, I'll get the gimbal now and I'll set it up and be ready for it. I used to take it on the couple, like the portraits, and ended up just ditching it because I found, so a lot of I don't like to use a lot of slow motion. I used to. I feel like we all used to like really hammer slow-mo, and then as time's gone on, it's fallen out of favor a bit. But the one time that I do like to use sort of dreamy slow motion is the couple shoot and the portraits. So I'll shoot that in 100 frames a second, and I found that when I'm slowing that down, I never really needed the gimbal.
Yeah.
So that was great just to ditch that, because trying to carry a gimbal and my other camera around at the same time was just an absolute nightmare. And trying to pick between the two, too many decisions.
Yeah, it just gets in the way of creativity, doesn't it?
I think so. It was for me.
There's been one occasion where like the couple did a really awesome entrance into the room, and I really caught it well on my gimbal, but only because all the like bridal party did it as well, so I got to practice it on their entrances.
Oh, nice.
So when the bride and groom came in, I was actually, nailed it, absolutely nailed it. And watching that back, I'm thinking, God, I'd love to have more of this, but
the bridal entrance, I've used the gimbal sometimes on that. I think that depends on how far they've got to go to get to their table. If it's quite a distance, then I'll probably use the gimbal for that. But most of the time it's just handheld, because I think there's usually a lot of energy at that moment, napkins go in and everyone's like giving it the big uns. So I don't mind that being a little bit shaky as you kind of like matching that energy.
Yeah, almost like dance floor energy sometimes, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I do like to get in on the dance floor, in amongst the action, and match that intensity. It's full on, like I'm in an earthquake at that point a lot of the time.
Oh, really?
I think so. I mean, compared to the rest of the films, that is, I mean, I like to think that by the time in my films where you hit the dance floor at the end, it's high energy, lots of movement, exciting.
And what's your setup for the dance floor? Handheld? What kind of focal length?
24-70 still. And it's usually wide at that point. I'm not really going anything beyond 35 at that point. Like I say, I like to be, I'm usually dancing with the people, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
you have to.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just love it anyway, because I'm a sucker for a dance floor. But I think going up to people with a camera in the face and you just staring at them with it can be a bit awkward. But if you're there and you're like, yeah, let's have a dance, and I like doing it.
Gets them going as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you still have like your stabilization on at this point?
It's just a standard stabilization at that point.
Yeah, so there's like no active on that.
Yeah, I never turn it off completely. It's standard or active. But yeah, at that point it's standard. I think if it was active, it would just be, like I say, fighting it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've found, because I've been trying to make my dance floor a little bit more energetic, getting in there, but then the active does that weird like jumping thing. But, I mean, it kind of adds to the flavour.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I can do, yeah.
But it'd definitely be better with it off for sure. So speeches, going into your setups for that. One thing I've noticed in your films that your kind of A-roll, so the shot of the speeches, is usually quite wide. So usually pretty much the entire top table, for example, and you'd have two angles of that of a similar kind of focal length, well, a similar kind of framing, which is really interesting because quite often people are looking for like a nice tight shot of the person speaking. But watching your films, I really appreciated that kind of wider shot because it was done in a way, I think you're quite low, so you're almost it felt like you're like almost at a guest point of view, but just high enough to be over the top of them. So it's immersive, but you're seeing a lot of reactions from people on that top table as well. Is that all intentional?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I've always tried to approach it. I can't remember who said it. It might have been Richard Lang, because I did his clarity course a few years ago. And so it might be him. But it basically said, to shoot from almost the height of the people sat down, because then it feels like you're in amongst that audience watching. So I feel like if the angle's too high, it doesn't feel natural. It's a bit jarring. So I like to have it at head height if possible. And I don't intentionally set it wide. I just try to see what looks nice in the frame, I think. But I like to have, because I've only got the two angles, I'll have one on the speaker, and then usually I'm prioritizing the couple's reaction. So if it's the groom talking, I'll just focus the other angle on the bride, waiting for those reactions. And I suppose that is one thing that I do miss not having a third camera, is I would like to go around and film guest reactions sometimes.
Yeah.
Having said that, whenever I've had a second shooter and I say to them, get guest reactions, because that's the one thing that I don't normally get, I never end up using them in the edit. So
yeah, it's the hardest thing to film ever, because I've done it before when I've just focused on reactions and like people don't react.
I know, yeah. You're always chasing the action.
Yeah,
you'll see someone laughing, then you'll move, and then they'll stop, and then someone else, and like, yeah, you always follow. You're always trying to catch up.
Hi, it's Rue here. Just interrupting the podcast to tell you about the Coda membership. The Coda membership is for filmmakers who want to level up their work and join a supportive community. You get access to an ever-growing library of online masterclasses by some of the UK's best wedding filmmakers. We currently have Lawson Films showing us how to master capturing speeches, Philip White breaking down how he manages to capture detail shots in his unique style, Christopher James talking you through how to craft impactful film scores, and PS Visuals breaking down the Instagram ads technique that got him 1,000 inquiries and 120 bookings in a single year. On top of that, you'll also get free access to our Coda workshops that are taking place up and down the country. These are hands-on days where we share, critique and improve our work together. You get online access to all of our conference talks, and if you've been struggling to get a hold of tickets to our sellout conferences, with the membership you now get first dibs. So come and join us, so together we can learn, grow and connect. Visit coda-conference.com or click the link in the description below. So that's your gear setup and your packages and stuff. But what was your actual journey into weddings? Because I'm sure, like most people, there's probably you had a whole life before weddings, right? And how did you get here?
Yeah, I mean, weddings is a relatively new thing for me, really, because the last 20 years I've been in a touring rock band playing drums. So and it was lockdown when the world kind of closed and there was no music, no gigs, that I kind of dove into weddings, really. But when I got with my partner Sarah, she's a wedding photographer, Sarah Beth Photo, she just basically said, because I was so for the band, to save money, I would always do the music videos. So I've always been into film. At college, I did film studies and things like that. I was always making short films and stuff. So I knew my way around a camera. And when I got with Sarah, and I wasn't on tour, I didn't really have anything to do. And she was like, why don't you come and film some weddings? So I ended up shadowing her, over for a few weddings and putting together wedding films. And it kind of just went from there, really. And as time went on, we started offering, like a joint package, photo and video. And it kind of went from there. And then from there, I ended up separating and setting up my own my own business.
Oh wow!
I was just gonna say, I never thought, if you was to ask me even 10 years, 5 years ago, like, what you would think I'd be doing, would never have guessed weddings.
Wow, so it really was like COVID caused it, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we did our 20th anniversary tour last year, so we've been on the road a long time. And when COVID kind of coincided with the band reaching a point of burnout a little bit, we'd been on the road so much, away from home all the time, and we were all just a bit creatively burnt out from music and the band. So I was kind of looking for something new anyway, creatively. So it kind of coincided with that, and I love it genuinely. It's an amazing job.
So have you kind of pretty much learnt filmmaking at weddings?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I knew my way around a camera because I've always filmed, but I've never had any sort of technical teachings. That's not the way to put it. Technical teachings. It's basically just been learning on the job and just figuring it out as I go.
Oh wow! So the band then? So was that your full-time job?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, no way. So like,
yeah.
I want to know about this. I didn't know this about you, Kurt. I didn't know that. I pride myself on being nosy and knowing people's business, but I didn't know about the band. So who were the band? Are you still going? Like,
yeah, I mean, we're still going. I mean, we've this year is the first year in like I say 20 years that we've not actually been away on tour. The band's called The Brew, and it's a rock band. Nobody in England knows us because all of our tours and everything would be in Europe.
Really?
We had like a few hits in Poland, Germany, Spain. Germany in particular is like a really good country for us. I've just been doing that for the last 20 years. That was my full-time job, and really good money from it. Traveled the world. Just great, really.
So the money all comes from gigs, or does it come from like sales of records and stuff? Or no? That's not a thing anymore, is it?
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. We kind of came into the industry as that was ending, really, record sales and stuff. So yeah, all of our money was earned through being on the road, which is another reason why we were all a little bit burnt out from it, because for it to be our main source of income, we was on the road all the time, effectively playing.
So how, like, out of the year, how many months would you be away on tour?
It would probably work out to be about 6 or 7 months of the year.
Yeah,
so
spread out.
We'd be back and forth all the time, basically.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, but that's a young man's game, though. That
it is, yeah.
Especially the drummer.
Yeah, very much so.
That's interesting.
Fortunately, we got. I mean, I started when I was 15, 16 when we first started, so I was young. And fortunately, as we got better and more known, we would have like a road crew and stuff. So it meant that I didn't have to do a lot of the hard work. I could just turn up on stage and enjoy myself.
No more carrying your kick drum around. You got a man for that.
I mean, I picked the worst instrument, like carrying a bloody drum kit around everywhere. Jesus. Should have been a singer.
I always find drummers fascinating, right? Because I want to know, who are these parents that are allowing their kid to smack the shit out of a drum kit in their house?
I know. It's and I regret it now because I never get to play. But it's because I have nowhere to set it up. And if I did, I'd just be pissing the neighbours off. So, yeah, I should have been a singer or a guitarist, really. It would have been a lot easier.
Mad. So one thing I didn't touch on is your audio setup. You always seem to have lovely audio recording in your film. So,
thanks.
And great use of ambient as well throughout. So are you using on-camera mic at all?
Yeah, it's just the built-in camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to have like a shotgun mic, but I found that I couldn't tell the difference between that and the built-in one. Certainly not for what I was using it for, which is just to kind of like bring in a little bit of natural audio here and there. But I've been doing it more and more recently, bringing in that natural audio. Things like if the bride and groom have got like an entrance song, I'll maybe bring that in as they're coming in and then sort of fade that out back into the music or the speeches again. So yeah, I'm doing that more and more. I think it's more immersive just to include the natural audio as and when you can.
Yeah, 100%.
But other than that, I'm using the good old Sony TX660s. I do use a lav actually on the groom for the ceremony. So I've got the Zoom. Is it the Zoom F2, the 32-bit float one?
Yeah.
I use that on the groom for the ceremony because I find that with it being 32-bit, I can pick up the partner saying their bit as well without losing quality.
Yeah.
But to be fair though, I mean, if I had to use a Sony for that, it wouldn't really matter. I think when you've got things like Adobe Podcast and stuff, you could do the audio on a mobile phone if you needed to. I think you'd get away with it these days.
Yeah, 100%. Adobe Podcast went down today. I was like heartbroken.
It did. I was editing and I got to that point where I was, doing the audio and I didn't realize how much I'm relying on it recently.
Same, yeah. It's almost like they did it on purpose. Like, right, let's take it away from them for one day.
Yeah.
So you just know how good they've
and then
got
they'll
it.
start charging extra for it now.
Yeah. But I had an absolute mare with the edit I'm on at the minute because it's two brides. And I decided just to put my TX because they both had the dresses and there was no way of putting like anything on them, and they were quite shy, so I knew they wouldn't want to have like a lav attached to the leg or anything. Yeah. So I just put one on the end of the registrar's folder, but he ended up going the other side of the desk. Rather, there's like a table rather than being in front of them. And then these brides are the quietest humans you ever heard in your life. So I need podcasts to get me out of trouble with this for sure.
I found that registrars are doing that a lot recently. That they're so aware of us, the videographers and the photographers, that they're standing like opposite side of the room almost and doing it from there.
Yeah, I think you're on something there. That's definitely something I've noticed this year. They're definitely a lot more considerate and almost ask what they want from us.
They are. But almost too considerate because I find that they're almost like, oh, am I in the way? Oh, I'm in the way, and they're like moving around. It's like just stay there, just stay still. I'll work around you.
If you stay still, but when you're moving,
exactly. I mean, I had one the other day where she was stood in the middle, and they always say, don't they, like, oh, just tell me to move if you need. And I knew obviously the first kiss was coming up, so I kind of. It didn't look like she was going to move. She was so into it. So I thought, right, I'll just go over her shoulder then. And she announced kissed, and then she freaked out that she was in the way, started looking around and just moved straight and just stood in front of my camera. I was like, oh, great. So then I'm trying to like go past and we completely missed the kiss. But fortunately I've got the back camera to get it, so it's fine.
Yeah,
but you'll just see
the
me.
Second shooter's got their ass in front of your back camera.
Oh God, don't get me started.
I could always the mood of my podcast does change as the once I'm deep in the season, I'm deep in editing, and I'm just frustrated by all the chaos that's happening.
I feel like this year has just got worse and worse with things like second shooters and content. Not so much content creators, but people at the wedding getting content. Yeah, it's just. I've had a few weddings this year that have just been an absolute nightmare. I don't know if you want me to ramble on rant about them, but
it's that we are at a pinch point right now where everyone's on the hunt for content, aren't they? I had it where the band on the day came up to me and said, "Oh, we spoke to the bride and groom, and we've got our content creator capturing stuff for us today." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And it was this dude with a black magic on a gimbal, all day. The band weren't playing all day. I don't understand.
Right. I'm gonna have to tell you the story then, because I've had the exact same thing happen recently. So I did one at Grantley Hall recently, which was actually the one with the same day edit that I did. The band turned up in the morning prep with a content creator, and this guy filmed the whole day. He probably ended up with more footage than I did. He was at the front of the aisle when the bride was coming down the aisle, and he had this massive gimbal. And at that point, that was the first I'd seen of him, so I didn't have enough time to kind of acknowledge who's this guy, why is he here? Because I would have said mate, you're gonna have to get out of the way, because he was and then he was getting candids, speeches. Fortunately, he didn't come on the portrait, so I didn't. Me and the photographer didn't let him come on.
What did you just say to him you can't come, or did you just not tell him that it was happening?
We just said there's no room for you, basically. We were polite about it. We didn't just say fuck off, but we just gave him a stern oh yeah, you're going to be in the way. But he was there all day, and the thing is, like, there was also a content creator who was just filming over my shoulder the whole time, getting the exact same thing as me, but just on a phone, which was pointless. And it just felt a bit of a circus. We were all just kind of fighting for the same shots, and all of our shots suffered as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an absolute... There was 6 people filming the cake cut.
Bloody hell.
Why?
Imagine, like, what I find when there's a lot of people, even when it's like 2 photographers, for example, it comes to getting candid shots, and it's a nightmare because every guest is almost fed up of having a camera kind of around them. Like,
and they're very aware of it.
Yeah, because when there's a photographer and a videographer, I think you can cycle round, you get your shots, and I usually then move away for a bit to let them have a bit of space and then come back in again. But when there's that many of you, there's never a moment when there's not a camera being pointed at people.
Yeah.
And it just affects the work, doesn't it? It's not a good experience for anybody.
No, I totally agree. And this is all I could think at the time. You know, if I was the couple, I'd be like, can everyone just go away? Like, it's just too much. Like, you can't enjoy the moment when you've got 20 cameras in your face, you know, because it's not only just us with our cameras, it's also guests filming and the makeup artist, the hair artist. I just really felt like it was affecting the couple and their enjoyment. And I feel like fortunately it's not every wedding, but there has been a few this year where it's felt like that. And I think sometimes we've kind of lost sight of what the wedding actually should be about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, if you're a person there that's been hired by the couple, it's fair game because they've gone through that process. But to be fair, they probably don't really know the extent to how it will affect the day, really, because more often than not...
100%. Because she gave them permission to do it, because I did ask her, I was like, you know, who is this guy? She's like, I thought it'd be okay. They asked if you could come. But they don't know. They don't know any better. So
they're just being polite, aren't they? Like, when someone asks, they're going, yeah, sure, yeah. And in a way, I guess, a bit honoured that people would want to capture their wedding.
Yeah,
but they're not
absolutely.
taking into consideration the day. But if, say, it's a content creator and a photographer and a videographer, we've been hired by the couple, we've been paid by the couple, fair enough. But when you got, like, venues trying to turn the wedding into marketing, and then, like, to be honest, I feel like the makeup artists haven't been as bad this year. I think it's calmed down a little bit, but it's been so many weddings where I'm just so frustrated that I've got nothing, but the makeup artist has got better video content than me.
Well, it's always that point where, because it always gets a little bit rushed towards the end when they're getting, you know, it's that final moment. You've done like a dad reveal or something, or you're waiting to do the dad reveal or bridesmaids reveal, and you're running behind. I'm always like watch checking. I'm like, oh God, we need to see, especially if it's like a church or something. And then the makeup artist's like, can I just get you over here and get a shot? And it's like, I really need to get my shot. And then you could do it after me. But like, I'm always too polite to say anything.
I'd say, and the fact that they seem to take longer than an entire portrait session normally takes, you think, how is this taking? I know. What are you even doing here?
They're like orbiting around, like, look at me now, look down, look to the window. I was like, oh God.
They need to be in our shoes for one day, because as far as they're concerned, they're going home in 10 minutes. So it's like it's almost like they don't know what is about to happen. Like, we need to get the dad reveal happen before the registrars try and have their interview. Otherwise, we're screwed. We won't have a chance to get the ceremony and stuff like that. But yeah, absolute chaos. And I don't know. I think something's going to happen about it, really, especially in terms of like other outside companies trying to get their marketing at a wedding. I think it'll come to a head eventually. I really do. But even if it's just like there's a generic content creator for every wedding that gives all the suppliers the stuff, it'll probably be that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard people say, we should be more open to giving them our footage and photos and things like that. And like, I'm not against doing that at all. It's just finding the time to do it.
That's the problem, isn't it? Like, because they're going to want it quick, and there's no way I'm going to sort through my footage and give it to suppliers before the film's made. And then when the film is made, the last thing you want to be doing is go
back to it and do it.
The amount of times I've promised people, like, I'll give you all the footage, don't worry. Like, the suppliers.
Every wedding I'm promising them. They'll never see it.
I don't know why it's like Tourette's. I think, why don't I even say that out loud? I'm definitely not going to be giving them this stuff.
It's fine. Just send me a message and then I'll just leave them on read.
And then they do, and then I'll leave it unread.
Oops.
I've got a magician chasing me now for the last 8 months, I tell you. Poor fella. So you mentioned the same day edit, which is something that always fascinates me. And so you recently did that, didn't you? So can you tell us about that whole entire process, how it came about, and then how you went about achieving it? Yeah,
I mean, it's something I have heard of before, and I've always thought, my God, never in a million years would you catch me doing that. And then I got an inquiry last year, and the bride said, at my friend's wedding we went to recently, they had a same day edit. Is that something you could offer? And I thought, oh God, absolutely not. But it was at a venue I really wanted to shoot at. It ticked all the boxes of a wedding that I'd love to be involved with. So I thought, well, I said to her, look, for me to do it on my own, like, it's not really possible. Bearing in mind that the ceremony was at 4:00 as well, so it was a late ceremony.
Oh my God.
So I said, I'll ask a few people I know and see if I can bring someone in to help, and I'll give you a price. So she's like, yeah, great.
And she booked you at this point, or was she still in the process of? She
was still
inquiring.
Yeah, she hadn't fully committed. She was obviously keen, but yeah, they hadn't fully committed. So I did feel like I needed to, make an effort to try and sort something. And I thought to myself, well, who do I know who can do like a banging teaser, a banging short edit? And I immediately thought of Tom from Hitch Productions. Shout out to Tom.
Tom's the guy whose hair set on fire.
Yes,
For those,
he is.
those trying to wonder who it is. He's that guy. Everyone knows that guy.
Yeah, everyone knows that guy. But I'm a fan of his work and the way he puts together a teaser and stuff. And I thought, well, and I have spoke to him as well in the past, and he seems like he can get his edits done pretty quickly and stuff. I thought, right, he's the guy. So I just said to him, like, look, I've been approached about this. How do you feel? And he had the same reaction as me, like, absolutely not. What a nightmare. So, and I said, well, how much would you want if you was to say yes? And I said to him, if it was me, I would want at least 500 quid to do it. And he said, yeah, that I'd be happy with that. So then I thought, right, well, I'll kind of add a lot more onto that and try and scare her off it. And so I went in at 800. I was like, how does 800 sound? And she was like, yeah, absolutely fine. I was like, oh, fuck.
When you said add a lot, I didn't think you were just going to add 300 quid.
Well, so in hindsight, yeah, I probably should have added a lot more, given the amount of work and stress that it was. But in my head,
teaser's done.
Well, yeah, there is that. So we all kind of agreed on that, and then I kind of forgot about it for a year. And then as it was approaching, I was like, oh no, I really need to do some sort of planning to this. But basically, Tom came down. I had a second shooter as well, and the plan was to have a song in place ready. So we chose their first dance song, which was Sam Ryder, I think.
So did you talk this through with the couple beforehand, like
no?
The song?
So the couple gave us complete creative free reign, really, which is probably a good thing. So I think if they had too many expectations or too much input, it sets them up for disappointment. Maybe, I don't know. But me and Tom decided on the song, and basically, so the ceremony was at 4:00, so it was a late ceremony, and the plan was to play it after the band's first set. So we would end it with the first dance. So as soon as that first dance finished, I left the dance floor shots to my second shooter, and I went downstairs into this little basement we had set up where Tom was working away in the dark. And I gave him them final shots, which was the first dance. But throughout the day, we were basically just, after every sort of significant moment, so morning prep, ceremony, drinks reception, portraits, we would go and give him those cards, and he was basically building up a film throughout the day.
Yeah. So he was literally, Tom's only job was to sit there on the laptop, waiting for the files to be dropped off to him. Okay. Yeah. So what had you promised to deliver? Was it like a 3-minute film?
Yeah, it was just shy of 3 minutes. I said to her, that's basically the only thing we kind of promised, really, is that it would be around 3 minutes, and then we kind of left it at that.
Were you using narrative audio in it?
No, so I think I went into it with the intention of using some, but the speeches just didn't have a moment that we could kind of pull out. There was lots of obviously nice moments within the speeches, but there wasn't like a short, concise moment that we could kind of use for it, if that makes sense. So we made the decision, okay, let's just scrap that. We'll just effectively make a long teaser. And I think it worked better that way, given how it was shown, because basically the venue wheeled out a TV, like they used to do at school on like a little trolley. They wheeled out a TV. Obviously it was a nice big TV, but we basically wheeled out a TV and everyone sort of got crowded round and stood around. But I think it was the fact that it was just music and just the visuals, it worked better. I think if it was like in depth with like a narrative and things like that, people wouldn't have been able to pay as much attention to it. Does that make sense? I think it worked better just being music.
And it's also that tricky thing of getting those sound levels ready for that kind of, like, you never know what's going to happen, let alone knowing what's been said, extracting that, even getting those files over and synced up and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have enough time to go that far with it. I think maybe if it had been a normal time ceremony, like 1 o'clock or something, we could have done it. But given how short a time we had to put something together, it wasn't going to work. And this is one of the things that if I was ever to do it again, which is a big if, I would have some sort of pre-planning with what it's going to be shown on. So I knew it was going to be shown on a TV, but I didn't actually see the TV until we was exporting. And I was like, I didn't know what it was going to sound like. I didn't know if the colors were going to be okay or anything. So it was like a real scramble the last 15, 20 minutes to get it set up and ready to be played. God, it was so stressful. I was shaking, man. And it was insanely intense, and the adrenaline was like nothing I've ever felt before. And I really went into it thinking, what a stupid idea. Don't ever want to do this. And then I came away from it thinking that was actually incredible. And seeing the guest reactions and the couple's reaction in real time, they were clapping at the right moments, laughing at the right moments, crying. It was really beautiful, actually. We did get kind of swept up in it. And Tom, bless him, so he was stood behind the TV because he was playing it from his MacBook, and he was like dead still because when we were testing it, the wire kept like flickering and it kept flickering the screen. So he was stood behind the TV holding that MacBook for dear life. So he couldn't even see anyone's reaction or anything, bless him. He was just stood behind the telly. But once it was over and I turned and looked at him, you could just see he was like completely welled up, like close to tears, because we just all got so swept up in the emotion of it. It was really nice, actually.
So there are a lot of questions I still have about this whole thing. So
Sure.
Just the kind of logistics of it. So Tom is sat there. Has Tom done anything to prepare that edit ready? Like, he's obviously got the song there. Has he kind of marked out elements on that song where he thinks things are going to land? Do you have a structure in place for where you want footage to go?
I kind of left it to him, but from what I saw of what he was doing, yes, we obviously decided on a song. He chopped it up to a point where it was around 3 minutes and he knew he could kind of make it flow. And yeah, I think he had some sort of idea of like, we'll start with this, we'll end with this, and kind of, but no, there wasn't like a lot of planning in terms of a solid structure, because also we didn't know really what footage we were going to get either. I didn't know how energetic or exciting the wedding would be, or whether it would be kind of like slow and more emotional. Like, we didn't really know. It was difficult to call. So yeah, we were kind of just winging it, really.
Yeah, fair enough. But I just don't understand the logistics of getting the cards off. Did you have like multiple cards so you could go to him, drop some cards off, and then put new ones in to continue shooting? So
I've got loads of SD cards. I've got about 30 SD cards. So I cleared them all in preparation for this wedding. So yeah, we were just done. I mean, it got to a point, bless him, where he was sat there like, please don't bring me any more cards, because he was like trying to like import them in whilst also trying to go through the footage and piece it together. And it did get to a point where he was getting a bit overwhelmed with how much we were giving him. But yeah, it was just that we were just basically going up and down, just handing him stuff, and it would be a case of like, oh, this has just happened. That was a nice moment. It's on this card, and just pointing out certain shots to him. Yeah, they had a belly dancer, because I think her family was Egyptian, I think, and so they had this like traditional belly dancer as well, which we didn't really know too much about, so we didn't know how much of that we would be including. But I ended up giving him so much footage of this belly dancer. She was great. I was like, we need more belly dancer. He was like, we've got too much. Stop giving me belly dancer shots.
At the end of it, were the couple really, really happy with it?
Oh, they absolutely loved it. and it made it all feel worthwhile. Like I can see, I was very cynical going into it, but I can see the appeal of it, because I think certainly from the couple's point of view, I mean, there was out of 80 guests that were there, there was maybe 5 or 6 that were just not really interested. But I was quite surprised at how invested everybody was in it, to be fair, because I did think, like, from a guest point of view, why would you want to watch the wedding that you're already at?
Yeah, because that's always what I thought about it, because I'm proper cynical about it as well. I'm thinking, the last thing as a guest, like, why are you stopping me from partying so I can just watch the day that I've already literally just experienced in real time?
No, I totally agree. I mean, to be fair, it was the right place to do it, because it was when, like, evening food came out. The band had just finished the first set, so everyone kind of had nothing to do, so to speak. Yeah. So it was the right point. But yeah, the couple absolutely loved it. They were just in tears, and just because, whenever we deliver our films, most of the time we'll get like a nice email, or sometimes it just ghosts us, but most of the time we get like a nice email saying like, oh, we loved it, it was great, thank you so much. But seeing that reaction happening in front of you was really nice, actually.
Yeah, because I feel like a same day edit, the person it's best for is the filmmaker, because it's live advertising, isn't it? Like heightened emotions as well. So have you had people inquiring more for more same day edits since?
No, I haven't. I mean, but then I haven't really pushed it either. I mean, I put a story on my Instagram about it, and we did actually film the guests' reactions whilst it was being played. So at some point I will put like a reel together of like both angles kind of playing simultaneously. So I will do something with it, but I don't know if it's something I really want to promote or push, because a lot of things had to line up for it to work. The fact that Tom was available, because obviously he's a wedding videographer in his own right, the fact that he was available to do it, the fact that the second shooter, a guy called Andy Stelmack, he's great, the fact that he was free as well and I could trust him to capture the bits that I couldn't because I was helping Tom. Like, a lot of things had to line up for it to work. So even if I wanted to offer it, I don't know if I'd be able to.
Yeah. I feel like whenever people have done a same day edit, it's because it's almost been the deal breaker. It's like, it's what's got them the job. It's not something that people are like necessarily really wanting to do. Like, because why would you?
No.
I'd almost be wanting to be charging double just to make that happen.
Like, I mean, I would charge more in hindsight now. And there was an element of that, like, am I going to lose this booking if I don't say yes to this, because I'm sure there'll be someone out there that will do it. And it was a wedding that I wanted to do, so we'll see.
It's one of those things as well. It's the challenge of it, isn't it? I imagine it's almost irresistible.
I mean, I went through so many emotions in the lead up to it, but one of them was like, this is going to be really good. Like, we've got a great team together to do this. Like, it's a good challenge, but
but you pulled it off, man. You did it.
We did it. It was great. I'm pleased. I am happy about it.
If only all edits could be done in a day, right? Imagine.
No shit.
But let's go into that, because I feel like quite often when me and you catch up throughout the year, it's a lot of our conversation is always about the edits. We're so deep, like we're trying to we need to outsource, we need to get some of this shifted off, but the beauty in your films is the edit as well. As like we've touched on it earlier, but you really do craft a beautiful film. It really seems quite unique for each. Every film I've watched of yours feels different but feels authentic, and that's why they're so engaging, because you're tapping into the emotions that are kind of displayed in front of you, I guess. But I kind of want to break that down. I want to go into the nitty gritty of how you're creating these films. And I don't think it's for the weak of heart, because I know it's going to take a lot of time to do your edits, right? So I guess that's the question to start us off. Say your packages, I imagine they take similar length of time, right, to edit, because even though there's a difference in film length, there's still a lot of editing time. If you got to just crack on with it, how many days do you think it would take you to finish an entire delivery?
I mean, if I sat and worked for the full day and wasn't procrastinating,
which you've never done ever, probably, like all of us.
I would say a good solid 5-6 days, maybe.
Literally like that. Working from like 9 till 5 at least, kind of thing. Cracking
at least. Yeah.
So what is your process? I guess, what is your software that you're using?
I'm Premiere Pro.
Oh, right. They don't have many users around anymore.
I know. I mean, and that comes from using it from years and years ago. Making short films when I was younger. That was the program to sort of use, really. I think it was that or Sony Vegas or something at the time.
Yeah.
I did dip into Final Cut Pro briefly, but that was before I did weddings. And since I've been doing weddings, I'm on Windows PC, so I just stuck with Adobe Premiere.
Yeah, you don't really get the benefit of Final Cut if you're not on the Mac, do you?
No, not at all.
It's so ingrained with the software. So what is your workflow then? So you come home from a wedding, everything's back up. You're going to start the edit. What do you do first?
Well, I'll bring everything into Adobe, and basically I will sort it by when it was shot. And I don't cull the footage as such, but I'll bring all of the different sections of the day onto one long timeline. So, you prep, ceremony, before doing that, I will sync the service and speeches. So I'll do those first. So I sync them up. I'll go through and just sort of jump between the two angles, tidy it up.
So you're building up those speeches and ceremony films first?
Yes. Yeah, I do them first, get them exported and out the way. Then I will bring in all of the footage and then I'll color code each section of the day on one long timeline. And then what I'll do is I'll go through the ceremony and the speeches, and I'll basically just highlight bits of that I think will work in the film. So I'll highlight those bits. Then I try to find music, which is a massive part of it, because I'm so into my music, and I'm so picky with my music, so that often can take a long time. So I will eventually find a handful of songs, and then recently I've been trying to, so what I would normally do is then kind of like try to piece it together section by section, but recently what I've been trying to do is craft the whole timeline of the film with the speeches at all the right moments, along with the music, before I bring in any footage. So I've almost got that template there to then bring all of the A-roll on top of it.
The B-roll.
Before it was B-roll. Yeah. Before, what I would be doing is almost like building the film section by section as I go along.
Right.
Whereas now I try to have a beginning, middle, and end of it all, and then I'll bring in the B-roll separately, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do it. So I almost describe it as like the wedding podcast. So you've got like just audio version of it first, and then you sprinkle in like B-roll.
Yeah, I mean, I'm flexible with it. Obviously, there are some things that once I'm into the edit, I think, okay, that's not going to work. I need to mix things up. But that's generally how I approach it. And then, but obviously, earlier we talked about things like the cold open and like these sort of intros that I do. I tend to do them last because I like to get the bulk of the film done, see how it feels, see what moments sort of stand out, and then I'll go back and do that intro.
Right. So then you create that intro, then just stick it onto the front kind of thing.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. What I really like about your films is your transition between music, because you seem to use quite a lot of tracks, because obviously your films can run quite a long time. You always do a lovely transition between the music. So how are you doing that? What are you kind of looking for, and what's your strategy?
I think a big part of that is obviously I've spent the last sort of 20 odd years in music, so I'm quite into that bit of it. But mostly it's trying to find keys that work together. So there's a great thing that you can search for on Google. It's called the circle of fifths, and it's basically a circle, a diagram, and you can put in the key of the song. So a lot of things like MusicBed and Soundstripe or whatever people use, I use MusicBed. It'll tell you the key of the song. So you can put in this key on the circle of fifths, and it'll give you other keys that harmonize well with it or will transition well into it. It's sort of complement that key. And so I will pick songs that not only sort of match the feel, but are also matching the key. Yeah. And then it's just a case of finding those bits of the songs where it naturally lowers, so then you can bring in the next track, really.
There was one film I remember particularly, and it was during the ceremony, and you had the brides coming down, you had every bride coming down the aisle on the kind of beat, like, so it was a jump cut of each bride on the beat, and then it kind of like, then the beat dropped away, and as the beat dropped away, that's when the bride came in.
Yeah.
And it was like, do you know the film I'm talking about here?
No, but only because I feel like I tried to do that a lot. So I have done that a few times.
So yeah, and it was so perfect. I was thinking, it was that good. I feel like you must have started with that first in the edit just to make sure you were that.
No.
Was it just pure luck?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the song, but I always try to naturally build the music to that point of where the bride's coming down, because I feel like it's almost like everything's leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
And some songs do it better than others. But yeah, it's almost like bridesmaids, bang, 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 and then here's the bride, and like, yeah. Because
I really don't like jump cuts normally, but the way this did it was, it led so perfectly to that. I'm going to call it the drop of the bride. It felt like it was like do boom, and like and I really liked it. I was thinking, to me, that feels like something that you're anchoring your whole film around, but it's kind of just. But I guess, is it intuitively you know the timing of your film, you know when a kind of ceremony aspect is going to happen, so it just kind of
yeah. I mean, I'll know at what point of the song I'm aiming for to hit the ceremony, so it's planned in that sense. But in terms of how I'm revealing the bridesmaids and revealing the bride, that's kind of like in the moment as I reach that point and figuring out what works best.
Yeah, because you were saying earlier that your films kind of like, after your cold open, you're saying they're pretty much chronological, but I feel like when I've watched your films, it feels like it bounces around quite a bit in time. Is that kind of an illusion just from the kind of way you've crafted it? So it feels like I'm going forwards and backwards, and then portraits come up in unusual places, but
portraits will, because they don't really sit in a wedding timeline.
No,
they're not planned on a wedding timeline as far as like the couple's concert, if that makes sense. So like I use the portraits purely for moments of emotional bits between the couple. So if it's the ceremony, I like to then bring in, couples' portraits, because usually they're talking about each other and it's romantic.
Yeah.
And then I will usually bring in couples' portraits again whenever the couple are kind of being highlighted and talked about. That's when I'll sort of overlay it with dreamy, nice couple shots, or funny, humorous couple shots if they're kind of like laughing or things like that, depending on what's being said. So I guess that aspect of the films are not chronological, but I think other than that, it follows the timeline of what the wedding did.
Even that Lucy Spraggan one, is that kind of like straightforward? I feel like that had like some shift. Really?
I think so. I mean, that one in particular, I did make more of the couple shots that I had of that. I think I went into black and white and played around with it a little bit, but I think other than that, it was mostly chronological.
I really like that film. That's a cracker. Absolutely.
I mean, unfortunately I can't share it to anyone, so, which is annoying. I can't have it on the website, so.
Can you? But you have got it like on there, and like you've got a shorter version of it.
There's the shorter, but there's like the teaser, the shorter version, but the main film, I'm not allowed to share that.
Are you not? Oh, damn.
No, it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, obviously you shared the teaser, and then I did that reel with Simon Cowell doing his little read-in and bringing Lucy down the aisle, which was nice.
What was it like putting a TX650 on Simon Cowell?
I mean, genuinely, he's the loveliest bloke ever.
Really?
I mean, he has his TV persona, which is, quite stern and nasty or whatever, but like, honestly, he could not be a nicer guy. He just wanted to walk around, chat to everyone, get to know everyone, hear everyone's story, and genuinely lovely, to the point where he was a witness in the ceremony, and after they did the signing, he was just going around talking to people, and the registrars and the coordinators like looking at the watches like, come on, we need to carry on with the day. And Simon's just going around just talking to everyone. Nobody wanted to say to him, come on, Simon, can we hurry this up, please?
What really made me laugh about that film was that you got Simon Cowell there, and he was doing a reading in the ceremony. It was one of those. It's one of those readings that we've all heard 1,000 times. I can't think which one it was now, but it's
it's
the
like the first
reading.
one that comes up on Google. You know,
Yeah, literally.
everyone's heard it.
Absolutely fantastic film, and I like the teaser one version that's on your website. I love that. I think I might even prefer that. I like how it's been condensed to a nice.
Yeah, I knew. So one of the things of doing that wedding is, you know, I knew that it would get a lot of eyes on it. I mean, Hello Magazine had the rights to it for a certain amount of time, and I knew it would get a lot of attention with it being, you know, Simon and other celebrities and stuff. So I really spent a bit of time on that teaser, knowing that that could potentially be the only thing I show from it, or allowed to show from it, that I spent a lot of time, you know, trying to perfect it basically. So yeah, hopefully that comes across.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got so many inquiries and bookings off the back of that, which was great.
Really? So it did actually work then? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It's been really good actually.
How did they find you?
So it's Lucy and Amelia is also a wedding photographer.
Oh, right.
So she's a friend. Well, she wasn't super close at the time, but like since then we've become real good friends. But she was friends with my partner at the time, Sarah, and because we'd done a couple of weddings together previous, she was like, I really want you to do it. So I was like, wow. I'd love to. So yeah, it wasn't like some, you know, random chance occurrence or whatever. Like I did know Amelia.
Yeah. But she knows you from working with you, basically, working with you at weddings. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's it. That's why you always got to be like a decent person, because like, who knows?
Well, that's it. And right place, right time comes into this kind of work as well a lot of the time. But yeah, obviously you can't be a dick either.
No, you need to like it. Yeah, it just goes without saying. Not just because we want work, just because you shouldn't be a dickhead.
Behind closed doors, I'm right arsehole.
Yeah,
but, you know,
exactly. If you are still delivering your wedding films on a USB, or struggling to find a sleek, professional way to showcase your work, it's time to upgrade your delivery experience with VidFlow, the ultimate online gallery for wedding filmmakers. With VidFlow, your couples can watch their wedding films in stunning quality on any device, including their TV, making it easier than ever for them to relive their best day with family and friends. Plus, with custom branding, easy downloads and cloud backup, you get a premium, hassle-free delivery solution that makes you look as professional as your films deserve. I've been using VidFlow for the last year, and my couples have been amazed by its slick interface, especially on their TV. It's like having their very own Netflix of their wedding films. You only pay for what you need, and each of my 4K galleries only cost me about £15, and they stay online for 10 years, so it's a complete no-brainer. Join thousands of filmmakers who have already made the switch, and try VidFlow for free by using the link in the description. Take your film delivery to the next level. Now let's get back to the episode. Let's go back to your edits. And Liza, you have a great use of ambient sounds and kind of foley and stuff like that. Is that, at what point the edit does that come in, and how much time do you put into that process? I do quite a bit more and more these days as well. Like I have a layer on my timeline that is called foley, specifically for all these little bits. So there's obvious things like, you know, if there's shots of, you know, trees and the venue and stuff, I'll maybe bring in some birds tweeting and things like that. You know, there's things like that. But I think adding all these extra details really immerses you into films. I think that the best wedding films use foley and natural audio a lot to really draw you in. So yeah, I do spend a bit of time on that, but it's just kind of as and when. I mean, when I'm going through the footage, I'm also listening to what's, you know, the natural audio as well. So if there's someone says something, or if there's something that sort of jumps out at me, I'll make a note of it and be like, okay, that I could maybe dip the music down and bring that in, you know. So I am always aware of it. I think people underestimate how much difference ambient sound gives your films. Like, it's huge. And once especially like when I'm like judging to ear, and I'm watching film after film after film, the ones that use the ambient stand out like head and shoulders above the others, just because there's nothing weirder than seeing people like laughing and then you're not hearing it. Like, even if it's just a slight sound of it. It's often overlooked. And
I'm definitely getting better at it because I know, I mean, you mentioned Tuya actually. I know the films that I submitted at the time when you was judging it, I was very aware that I wasn't quite where I wanted to be with it. So there would be times where, people are very obviously talking, but you can't quite hear anything. And it's sometimes it's fine. It doesn't matter, but sometimes it can be quite jarring. I think Jeff calls it goldfishing.
Jeff Wood.
Jeff Wood, yeah. People are just like that. But so I am aware of that. And I think the better films out there do utilize natural audio well. People like Plus Two Films, for example, they're really good at it.
In terms of the work, then, like, because I know you're busy and like at a great price point. Where are you getting the majority of your work from these days?
It's mostly Instagram, with a few recommendations here and there. I get nothing from Google, so I mean, I like to track stats because I'm a bit of a nerd like that. So I'm always tracking my inquiries and where they're coming from, what time of year, all that stuff. I'm averaging around 40 or 50 inquiries a month, and I would say 40 of those are from Instagram. And really? the other 10 are maybe a recommendation or Google or
recommendation from who? From clients or
from other referrals mostly. So like other videographers that can't do the date. There's a few of us that kind of pass dates between each other. And then, now and again, it'll be a previous couple have recommended me or a venue or another supplier.
So what is your strategy for Instagram then? Do you have a strategy for it? Like, how frequently are you posting and what are you posting?
No, I don't post as much as I like, but then it seems to be working whatever I'm doing. So I think this time of year, I feel like I've got lots of content because, everyone's wanting a teaser from their wedding. So I'm making reels, constantly. So then I've got like loads I basically just upload as and when I've got a teaser that I want to share. Obviously I don't share everything because, you share what you want to shoot. But this time of year, I feel like I've got lots of content. And then when it hits like the winter months, it just goes dead and I'm not uploading anything. So there's no strategy as such.
It's just when you've got something you want to share, worth sharing, you share it. If you've done a film where they haven't actually ordered a teaser, but you really like that film, would you create a teaser there and then, or is that something you'd leave until the off season?
Mostly in the off season, I would do that. However, at the start of this year, when it was a little bit quieter, there was a couple of films where I thought, right, I'll make a teaser for that one, even though they haven't paid for it. It's in my interest to do. But at this point of the year, when I've got a backlog of like 15,
it's the last thing you could be doing.
Absolutely not.
So that's quite interesting that you're getting your work from there, but then you're not posting loads. Then is it? How often do you think you are? What kind of frequency?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think on average, it's maybe one reel a month, maybe on average. But I don't know what it is. I mean, people talk about the algorithm and things like that. Maybe the algorithm has been favoring me recently. I don't honestly know because I don't go into it with any kind of plan and that's probably not what you want to hear, really. But there is no. It is
because it's exactly what I want to hear because I can't be asked. So
I mean, posting something is better than nothing, a lot of the time, I think. But there's no sort of grand plan behind it. I just seem to the couples that seem to resonate with what I do seem to be on Instagram and find me through there. So it is mostly through there. Yeah.
Do you find yourself going back to certain venues quite frequently, or is your work all over the place? Because are you based near Leeds?
I'm just outside of Hull.
Right. Okay.
So it's Yorkshire, yeah.
So do you shoot a lot around there, or are you all over?
I'm kind of all over, really. There are a handful of venues local to me that I'll maybe go 2 or 3 times a year. But I think because a lot of people find me through Instagram, there's no sort of location with that. So I do find myself traveling around quite a bit, not least in England, but then, a few destinations as well. I mean, I've got 3 weddings left now this season and they're all destinations. So I'm not looking forward to the traveling. Yeah. I go to Tuscany tomorrow. Then I'm going to Ibiza, and then the week after that, I'm going back to Tuscany again. So
wow. So where are you
but
getting
then
your destination
done.
weddings from? How are you getting those?
They so these three in particular, one of them was actually, the Facebook videography group.
Yeah.
A while ago, someone asked for a videographer in there, and I put my name up, and they found me through that randomly.
No way. No way, it actually worked. But when there's about 100 million people put their names in for those things.
It felt rather nice actually, because I was in amongst the list of some very good people, and I thought, oh, they've actually picked me out. So that was quite nice actually. But then other than that, again, it's just Instagram.
Kurt, thank you so much for your time, mate. I'm going to go on to the last question now, the one that I ask everybody. Yeah. And actually, before I do, there's a question that I've just remembered that I'd completely forgot to ask you. And that is, who's your favourite wedding filmmaker?
It's kind of changed over the years. When I first got into this, I loved A&Y Video. Do you know them? The two Spanish guys.
Yeah. So they're quite
Alberto
eclectic,
Yanis,
right? They're kind of like fast moving.
Yeah.
And...
So when I first started doing this, that was very much my style. I almost approached it like a music video. And I would go for that kind of really upbeat, energetic style and not have any speeches in or any kind of narrative. It would just almost be like a music video. And they were doing that sort of style. And another one was This Modern Revelry. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still going, actually. I've not seen them in
you know what?
years.
I was going to say that because I haven't seen any of their work for a while, but I think they moved into photo as well, possibly.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love their stuff. But I kind of drifted away from that style because it felt like I wasn't giving enough value to my couples. It felt like I was just giving them teasers and not really giving them a wedding film. So, but I used to love those guys. And then it was kind of, I guess it was Richard Lang that kind of shifted my perspective into doing more narrative-driven films, story-driven films. So whilst I've not really been following many videographers as of late, they were kind of like what got me into it, really. And more recently Richard Lang. But then I love, Plus Two Films are great. They're kind of like leading this new wave of, upbeat, exciting films. Roma Vera, who were at Coda, I'm really looking forward to hearing from them. They're great as well. Similar kind of style.
I feel like that's the next. That is like the new era, isn't it? Kind of Plus Two, Roma Vera. That's been the biggest shift in wedding filmmaking since kind of like the Phil White movement. I feel like.
I totally agree. Certainly from a social media perspective and what people are sort of consuming, it's very much that style. Yeah. In terms of like the longer films that people are making, maybe they haven't shifted too much, but yeah, everyone's kind of doing that sort of leaning into that style of teaser and reel and stuff.
But Roma Vera's, even their long films are like that. Have you watched any of their long ones? Yeah.
To be fair, and I love how you can kind of keep up that style for any sort of length of time as well and keep you engaged. And it's really, really, really good at what they do.
Final question now. This is the final question.
Okay.
Sorry,
cool.
I teased you there. So what were the biggest light bulb moments in your career so far when something suddenly made sense, and how did you progress or find the path you wanted to take?
It's a great question. I think there's a couple of. Can I have two answers? Is that allowed?
Yeah, as many as you want, mate.
I think the first one was, as I kind of said earlier, I started as like a joint package deal with Sarah and her photography business. And I think stepping away from that and having the confidence to start my own videography business, because I was really against the idea at first, and Sarah kind of talked me into it, but it was the best decision I ever made.
What was her reasoning behind going separate? What did she think about it?
Well, because it meant, as more time went on, I wanted more sort of creative control as to what we were doing and presenting ourselves and the styles and things like that. And I think it just got to a point where it was better for both of us to still do joint package deals, but have a very distinct two separate brands and businesses. Yeah. And it allowed me to charge what I want and really expand in any kind of way I wanted to. So that was kind of, I feel like there's two versions of me and wedding films. Like there's whilst I was with Sarah, and then going off and doing my own thing. So yeah, not that we would ever like fall out or anything like that. It wasn't in a bad way. It was just like, this is, if you want to move forward and really push it, like that's the best way to do it. So I think that, and also I think just having the belief and the confidence to just really up my prices and just charge what I felt I was worth. A lot of the time, the reason why I'm not getting a booking is because I'm maybe a bit pricier than other people. So I think if I lowered my price to something around 2,000, I think I would be taking a lot more bookings. And I think it would have been easy to sort of hang around that price, 2.5 for a long time and be, totally comfortable. But I really, early on, I just thought to myself, I really don't want to just be churning out large quantities and let it really take over my life editing. I want to be able to have a balance, and the only way to do that was to charge more money. So I think it was after doing Clarity with Richard Lang, actually. I mean, he was quite open about pricing and things like that, and he kind of, the way he, without going too much into what he sort of talked about, but the way he would kind of like talk to us about it, it was like, just do it. As long as you've got bookings in place and you're sort of financially stable to take that risk, then take the risk. And I think doing that was the best thing, because it didn't really, I know we're not talking like a huge jump. It's not like I went from $2,000 to 10 grand, but just that slight increase to starting at $3,000, $3,500, it made a big difference financially, but it didn't really change a lot in terms of, the numbers of bookings and things like that,
But what did you see a change in the types of weddings you were booking though?
Yeah, there is that too, but not a huge shift. It's not like I'm all of a sudden just doing these big glamorous weddings in Lake Como and things like that. But you at that kind of price, you're definitely getting a couple that are invested in what you do and really want to prioritize videography. You're not just like an add-on just because they want a video, and you're not an afterthought. If they're spending that kind of money, it's because they're really invested in you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Coda Podcast. To find out more about the other educational resources we have on offer, including our annual conference and yearly membership, please visit coda-conference.com.